Hello everyone, time for a catch up. It's too long since I did the last one. I had so many good intentions and I've just been, I wouldn't say, I've set out to do it 2 or 3 times, but just ran out of steam on it somehow. So anyway, hopefully I'll get to the end of this one. We've got 2 or 3 things to report on, not a lot of progress I've got to say, but it's all things that are interesting. I hope that it's interesting anyway. So the first thing I'm going to show you is something that happened this week, and it was, I don't know what you call it really, I suppose a warning. Certainly made us think. You know, we've got a lot of vehicles still around, they're all parked closely together, and you suddenly think what could happen. I won't tell you any more, I'll just let you see this and then we'll maybe have a chat about it after. I'm not sure if you call this luck or good luck or bad luck, but I've lost my mower. It's overheated a bit. And it overheated, stood over in that corner. So it was, I think it was probably lucky that we didn't burn the whole shed down. So this mower, as you can see, it's burnt right out. Everything's gone. Back tyres, fuel tank, which had petrol in it. Not sure how much, but certainly enough to cause a fire. And it was actually stood here. Now that is fireproof foam. Thank God it wasn't a foam that would catch light. So foam rubber, that's MDF, that's also fireproof. And then you go up through, and we got netting there, which is also fireproof. It's not melt proof, but it is fireproof. So if it did nothing else, it tested all the stuff we use for kids' playgrounds. There must have been a lot of heat. It's melted the top out of that battery. The battery there. All the stuff on there. This is our battery charging station. Maybe not such a sensible place to put it now we see what's happened here. But the heat went right around. It didn't seem to affect the main electric, but it certainly cooked the CCTV setup. That's not working quite as well as it was. So I guess we're fairly lucky really. I'm not sure if, well, I'm pretty sure the mower's not covered with insurance, which is a great pity because I did do some work on that earlier this year and put a decent deck on it. Picked the best tin work. I've got another mower and I've made one good one out of 2. Fortunately, I've still got the other mower, so I don't know. I might rebuild it yet. It's a lovely mower. It's a 2-cylinder Honda and it's hydrostatic gearbox. We tend to use that one a lot more because we've got quite a bit of mowing to do. But that one's lovely for the small corners and it's something the kids can use as well. It's easy enough to do. So there we are. Are we lucky or unlucky? I think we were very lucky because if that had taken, I could go right along that mezzanine and then it could have got that mezzanine. Fortunately, there's not much stock up there now, but that's all skateboards and things like that, nothing to do with me, but the guy rented some space off me. We would have taken all that out. That's wooden deck, all those cardboard boxes, and then of course your roof goes. The roof is black, really black, and we've tied it up a bit there now, but we can certainly see the cobwebs. And the strange thing is we knew absolutely nothing about it. The door was shut at 5 o'clock on Friday night, was it? It's Thursday night. And We had a problem with electric in the other workshop and thought it was, well, I thought it was down to that, but we just turned everything off, isolated it, and said we'll leave it till tomorrow. It was dark when we were doing it, and we thought we'd, wait till daylight so we could see what was switching on and off. So everything was switched off, no electric coming up here at all. But we think in the 20 minutes that mower was on charge, and I'd left it on charge in that corner. So if the electric was off, there wouldn't have been any power up here. But it was getting power from somewhere, and that lit. The door was down, so you can't see from outside anything in here. So that burnt out, and in the morning they still no electric, so trying to solve the problem, and came up here to isolate the stuff up here, and this is what they found. So incredibly lucky, I think. Anyway, we not really damaged the building, but it stinks of smoke, and you can see all the black here. There's black soot everywhere. So I'm hoping the insurance will cover it. That's one of the things they do cover. So although there's no structural damage, the building is insured, and I'd only reinsured it about 3 weeks ago, so I know it's up to date. And we could have, just so lucky. I don't think they'll cover anything that's damaged, but if they could get the building back to it would be something. And through that wall, just to the side of the wall there, there's stacks of plastic sheeting, which Kathy and PJ use on their equipment. So we could have lost, I reckon it's nearly 9,000 square feet up here, and it could have gone through the lot. But it didn't, so lucky. Right, we'll find something more cheerful to talk about now. So there you are. That was so lucky. That could have taken out all our buildings, well, not all the buildings, but it would have taken out 2 main workshops where people are working all the time. And you think, well, what on earth would we do? Because if we lose that space, there's probably, I think 9,000 square feet there. If we lost that space, you don't just turn that round in a day, and there's all the machines and materials, there's orders on the books, things to do. It would just destroy the place, really. There was no tractors in there at all, just a couple of mowers. But, then you start thinking, there's one shed there, it's 150 foot long, and it's tractors end to end. Well, where would it stop? They're virtually touching, and you think, my God, it's frightening. We do take the battery leads off, so there's no live power, and in that big shed, apart from the pump for the water, our water supply, there's nothing else in there. So we'll just have another look at that and make sure it's safe. But fire is the most horrible thing. I hate it. When I was doing farm buildings, I had to deal with not quite a few, but probably half a dozen shed fires, and it's the most heartbreaking thing, really, because there's a big lump of livelihood gone for somebody, and yeah, they get a new shed in place of it, but it's one of these things. Those sheds out there, I've built all those sheds. Every shed that's on this place, I've built it. Not me personally, but I'm the one that's planned it, said where it's going to be, what we're going to do with it. The next generation, really, they haven't had a chance to do anything to it because I've done it all. There's still a couple of little projects now I want to finish off, but it's I don't know if I'd have the heart to start again. That's the thing, and it's all evolved, and it works very well for us. So, something to think about. If you've got stuff there, check that fire insurance. Luckily, I'd reinsured, or the insurance renewal came up 3 weeks ago, and I made very sure that they updated the values to go with the inflation we've seen, because we know our materials have gone up. And the other thing is trying to get people to do the job. That's the next problem, and they really are taking the piss with the prices they're charging, but I wouldn't want to do it myself now. But I could certainly have, we'd have revelled in a job like it back then. But anyway, there you go. That's enough serious stuff. Well, I'll show you now. Where should we go now? Well, this is the project of the moment. Not meant to happen at all yet, but it's just chance, I suppose. It's the Fergie 35. I've been trying to find an engine for it. I found an engine, thought that was going to be the answer to everything, and it's not. It doesn't fit, and I can't find another one. No, nobody's got them to offer. So it's a 4-cylinder 35. You can buy the kits, pistons and liners, and all the gaskets. It's not more than about 200 quid. Everybody tells me that they don't fit just like that. Well, maybe they don't, but they're still new pistons and liners and all the gaskets. So for that money, I'm prepared to mess about with it. I've got to buy new shells, and I'm sure there'll be a bit more expense, but the tractor came to me at the right price. It'll be back together reasonable money. The thing that was missing on it was the bonnet, and we found a bonnet. So paid a bit more than I wanted to for that, but still a lot less than I could have done. And it's in good order. It's been bought by way of a photograph, but it wasn't far from my brother's, and he's been and picked it up. It was, we haven't paid anything until he saw it, so he's picked it up, so it must be okay. So, yeah, that'll be done. We'll get it on. I'll get the engine put back together, get it on 4 wheels, so it can move around, and then take our time doing it. It's one of these, do I spray it or do I not spray it? What do I do with it? I don't know. So that's where we are with that. So have a look at that first. So we've got the engine block and front axle carrier here. They're okay. They don't need much doing to them at all. The liners aren't in, they've been knocked out anyway. So I'm going to get some new liners and put in. And then yesterday, I've been trying to find another engine and I can't find one. So yesterday, I dragged all the bits out. I was given 3 plastic boxes, and this is the engine. And I've sorted everything out. And surprisingly enough, I found everything. I don't think there's anything missing. It's all a bit filthy, the crankshaft and the camshaft have to go off and be tidied up a bit. The head, I think I could probably clean, that's okay. Everything else is just a little bit of surface rust. Unfortunately, before it got to me, it had been left stood outside, and some of the boxes were carrying water, which I didn't realise. So all the little bits and pieces in the bottom, the nuts and bolts, they're all a bit rusty, but that's nothing we can't sort out fairly easily. So I've sorted them all out into sizes. I've found all the bits that I think could be missing. I've got the main bearing carriers there. They're okay. I found all the screws to go with that. There's the liners that came out. I haven't really looked at them to see if they're any good, but I've ordered a new set anyway. Cotton rods, they're okay. I've ordered new pistons to go with the liners, so we'll put those in. I've looked hard at the shells. I can't see any markings to say they're not standard, so I'm going to order a set of new shells for it. The clutch is in good order, needs cleaning, but the plates are good and everything on that's okay. Manifold oil filter, the injector pump seems to be okay. It turns okay and everything's good about that. Sump, can't do a lot to the sump on it, it's a good solid sump. The radiator, which looked as if it was well, it still could be, but as you can see, my learned friends put something on the radiator and then stuck some heavy on it, so it's turned the fins down. But I think I can sort that out, so I'm not too worried about it. Radiators aren't that bad anyway for price. So this is my next mission really. It's something I can do in here. I'm going to put the engine together. As I say, I've ordered the bits, so I'll get the new liners in and pistons in, and then it's a horrible Ferguson thing where you have to thread the crank through the block. But I've done one before, and I'm sure it'll be easy the second time. I'm hoping so. So that's where we are with that. That's the Fergie 35 that I had. You saw it was stood in the field, but it's actually in a container now. So we're going to do that. I've found a bonnet for it. You know, we've got everything together for it really, which has sort of spurred me on. Standard Fordson. We've done nothing more to it other than change workshops. There's no reason why it won't go and as it is, but I've got to get this. I've got the starter. I've got to get it tested. It's not got enough guts as it is, but we'll get that started and put on. We had a leak on the joining plate when we put oil in it, and there's two. You've got a job to see it, but the two plates are welded together to make the joint, and the weld isn't really good enough underneath, but it's all been cleaned off. It's just a case of go under there and do something with it now. So we may use a bit of epoxy on it just to square it up. So waiting to get this one out really, and once I've got the starter on and a battery, we can put this one away for a while. It's not decided on colour or anything on that one yet, so that's where we've got to with it. It'll certainly stay like this for a bit because there's too many other things to do. So that's project number 47, but it's come to the front at the moment, so we'll do a bit to that. So I'll leave that with you for a minute. So yeah, that's the 35. I'm getting a bit enthusiastic about that really, because I can see I've got everything I need for it. Not, you know, there'll be some odd things, but the main expense is stopped, so it's a little bit of time on it now. A lot of cleaning, but you know, is that such a bad thing? So we can do that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not a Fergie lover at all, and looking at that bloody engine, I've never seen such a cock up. It's a real development from Harry Ferguson's T20 engine, which Harry Ferguson never wanted a diesel engine in that tractor. He was convinced it was petrol paraffin, and I think they made that diesel engine as awkward as they could just to teach us a lesson. Anyway, the 35 took over that sort of design, and then because they realised that how bloody awful it was always a bad starter, although the 4-cylinder digger I've got doesn't start too bad at all. So I think that's a little bit of playing around with it. So we'll see. So that's what was in those 4-cylinder Fergies until they changed to 3-cylinder, and then because it was a Perkins engine then, and that was a whole different ball game. They put the 3-cylinder in the 35X, and that became the 135. So you know, everything evolves. They got parts of it right and parts of it wrong, and they've always been good tractors. But I've always been a Ford man, never liked Fergus at all, and they are starting to infiltrate a bit, but we'll see. So where should we go now? We'll have a look at what we haven't done. The Roadless. No progress on that whatsoever since you last saw it. I've been still swinging backwards and forwards between as it is and you know, with the side rails on and move the axle forward, but that's how I like it. I think that's how it's going to stop. So the only reason I haven't done any more to it is I'm going to get some plate and I'll make up some new side plates, the same as a Roadless. They don't use the channels, they've got proper plate there, and then we'll form a carrier for the axle. The axle will stay on as it is. So that too is in progress. I've got to go and see Ed Scott. Ed Scott's got a Roadless 6.4, and I'm going to go up there and I'm going to take a lot of measurements. I expect I'll have to go back again eventually, but for now I think I can get all the measurements I need off it. So that's the only reason it hasn't been done. Ed lives at Liscard, I haven't been near Liscard. I've got tyres to change and all sorts of things to do there, but I just haven't had time to go up there. So that's where we are with the Roadless, and we'll see, you know, watch this space. Right, that's up to date. I've got the 135 back now from Colin's. It was been in Colin's garage up until now, but I'm going to use that one on Santa's sleigh. It's shut in a container here at the moment, and it's getting too dark to go and take a photograph. But it's not changed. It's immaculate, really. So Colin rang me up, and he said I'd want that tractor for Father Christmas, which yes I did. And he said, well, you have it back. He said, you keep it in a container back there, and you know, that'll be better. He said, I struggle to get through my garage with that there. So he was on about driving it over, and it was a bit cold and wet. And I said, look, I'll fetch it with a trailer. So off I went one Saturday morning to go and get the tractor from Colin. Pulled up, tipped the trailer up, ready to drive out. Colin got the tractor at the garage and loaded it onto the tractor, and I let it down ready, and I shouldn't laugh really because it could have been serious, but Colin was getting off. I was parked by the curb, and he thought he was stepping on the curb, and he wasn't. He was stepping off the curb, and he went a kicker, and it shook him up a bit. You know, he's 88 now, and I treat him a bit brutally, really. But I think, you know, and he agrees. If he didn't have these things to do, you've got to keep moving. One thing with old age is you've got to keep doing what you can. So this was Colin. He didn't look like this at the start, I made sure I did see him fall. I didn't film it, but I saw him fall, and although he fell over, he didn't fall that heavily. He didn't just go splat, but he did go down, and he sort of rolled into it and did knock his head, which has made him look pretty. But you know. Dave ever sympathetic. Oh, get up, you silly old bugger. Go and make a cup of tea a minute. I'll come in and sort you out. And he got a bit of blood on him. And anyway, his neighbour came back. Colin went off to get the tea. His neighbour came back while I was there, and I said, you know, a lady, if she is, lovely woman. And I said, Colin's had a bit of a fall. I said, you better keep your eye on him. I said, I'm going in to have a cup of tea, but if I tell him I've snitched on him, he'll be annoyed, so you just call in. And with that, Colin opened the door, and oh, what have you been doing? And she went in and sorted him out. So I went in for a cup of tea. I saw her put the TCP on. I saw him squirming because that was stinging, and you know, I laughed again. As you do. You mustn't give anybody sympathy. It's the most stupid thing. It doesn't do you any good at all. Get on and do it. If you look in the dictionary, it's between shit and syphilis, so it's not worth worrying about. Right, I think that's it. I've got nothing else to tell you, so I don't know how long this will turn out to be, but anyway, I'll get it put up tonight, and I'll see you directly. I hope you like it, so press all those like, subscribe, and all these things you have to do. My subscription numbers are slowly going up, but it is slowly. I don't know why it doesn't suddenly stampede, because they're so entertaining. Anyway, I enjoy doing it, and I hope you enjoy watching them. Okay, that's it. See you directly.